Good afternoon, it's Kuro. Got a tier 10 game in my tier 8 Ognevoi. Going over the matchmaking. This is obviously after or 8.0 with two CVs in the queue. Got a hack and an enterprise. Um, Looking at radar. Got a Missouri, a Wooster, potentially a Minotaur with radar, and a Donskoy. Destroyer-wise, the enemy team has an Udaloi and a Terrible. Both of them, they're not really threats to detecting me, but they are ships that have a gunboat advantage or gunpowder advantage over me. So I need to obviously try not to get caught out and basically out DPM'd by those ships. So this game, I'm going to talk a little bit about Ognevoi and probably a lot more about dealing with CVs. I think that most players aren't used to playing against CVs, and it's I mean, this is how you do it most of the time. And right here, I want to try to cap C, or at least help my team cap C. The first the first step to that is get AA over the cap, and I'm going to use one of my three smokes here. I'm going to just pop it, drag it into cap, and that's going to let my Wooster push up here really close to the cap. He'll be pretty safe. He can use his AA, and it ends up having the advantage. It'll keep some of the planes off me. Now, if you look, this is one of the first games I've had in 8.0, and the issue is you see me trying to click, bombers and stuff like that. Everything is based off the P and O. P to unlock your AA, O to reinforce sectors of fire. Um, there's a lot of people that have muscle memory that they're gonna have to try to relearn that. Um, I'm included in that because my initial reaction is when I want to turn on my AA is to click on the damn planes, and that doesn't do anything anymore these days. So you may question, I'm gonna go on ahead and pause it right here. Why haven't I gone into the cap? And I haven't gone into the cap for a couple reasons. One, it's got this giant ass island, so any enemy ships that push in here, they can hold behind this island and they can stay there indefinitely. If I'm not out here on the flank, every time my CV recycles planes, these guys get undetected. They get a breathing period where they can, heal up. They can do whatever. So by, I'm not playing directly in the cap, but I am, off to the side where I can get some spotting in. Uh, I can launch torps in, harass these guys behind the island here, and just start to try to make this situation back here uncomfortable from them. Position-wise, take a look at me. You see my max concealment is 6.1, and within that 6.1 circle, I have a Wooster, a Missouri, and another Wooster. And I'm positioning myself in this manner because I don't want to get caught out by, rocket spam, being dropped multiple times by, dive bombers or whatever. I just don't want to deal with the planes. Don't want them to keep spotting me, letting the enemy team shoot at me. So, just gonna, play chill and stay closer to my support. Now, one of the things that you need to talk about is the timing with the CVs. Uh, CVs feel like they've gotten a lot stealthier. Now, watch. There's some torpedo bombers coming up here. I don't see them initially. They're coming up my way. You'll see them pop up momentarily. Um, the planes with concealment expert, um, they're sneakier and they're a lot faster than they were before. So you have to actively look harder and harder on your at your mini map, and you can see just how quick that guy pops up. He popped up, you know, around under 7 kilometers, I would say, from me, and never even saw that guy. And for some reason you can't hear AA on the other ships with this patch. Um, it's that kind of thing that you really need to watch your mini map, because you're gonna have situations where all of a sudden the sneaky ass plane's gonna come up and jump you. And that was a good drop by the enemy CV. Um, just getting in there and you know getting a quick drop off, and that right there kind of woke me up to the fact that I need to be paying attention far more to the mini map, because the usual, take a look at it, scan it for planes real quick, isn't gonna cut it. You need to actively be looking harder, um, because again, those planes, they've got better concealment and they're faster. You've got less time to react with the initial, the initial from the moment you spot these guys. Uh, and again, we've got rocket planes coming back out. You take a look at my positioning again. 6 kilometers. I've got a Wooster. I've got a Kurfürst. I've got a lot of stuff. I think that guy just tried to drop me in the smoke. Um, but you know, just good solid positioning. That guy, he can drop me once, but he's not gonna be able to sit there and drop me 2 and 3 times, because my allies, their AA is gonna punish him. So at this point, we've cleared out C cap. I'm gonna help my team cap it. Then we're gonna go over to B cap. We're looking to this Kurfürst should be running. Instead, he's bow in, so my team's gonna push him. We're gonna kill this guy as quick as possible. And again, you see, just how these planes pop up. In this case, I'm close enough. My Woosters just shred the planes. Even with all the planes flying around, I've only done 330 HP in damage to the carrier planes, and that's an issue from a standpoint of what's a destroyer supposed to do when you catch one of these CVs. Uh, you know, Late game, not even saying you went hunting for the CV. You just, you're going to cap the last objective, and the CV's there. CV gets spotted, he's obviously going to be sending planes out looking for you. You know, you don't have the AA capacity in, the vast majority of these ships to, you know, to basically clear the deck on, the rocket planes. Those rocket planes are just going to keep coming in unless you've got something with you that's got a lot of AA. You're going to get struck 2 and 3 times per cycle, and then with as fast the planes can cycle, they're all over you in seconds. And if you do get a fire on CVs, the new dot timer on the fires is so pathetic, you can't shut down that attack. And it creates, in my opinion, a balancing situation where you have no chance. You can be full health, and by the time you kill one of these CVs, or by the time you could kill one of those CVs, they could kill you 2, 3 times over. So I do think that there's a balancing issue that needs to be looked at. How they do it, I'm not 100% sure, but that it's one of those things I've seen enough just with this video that there are some balancing tweaks that are needed. And in this in this game, I am running defensive fire on Ognevoi. Ognevoi just doesn't have what I would consider a meaningful AA suite. It's not something that I grab Ognevoi and I'm like, oh yeah, I'm gonna take this to go kill planes. But to be fair, there's only a couple destroyers that I would even make the claim that I'm doing this to kill planes with. Grozavoy is obviously one. Sims could be one. Um, I mean, AA, Benson, Gearing, those they can be okay. Um, but it's one of those things that it gets sketchy quick. Um, in this case, I smoked my Wooster back into to B cap. You know, spotted the destroyers, pushed them out. Um, this John Bart, I basically waited till he was poking around the island, dropped a set of torps on him, and then, I was spotted briefly by planes. Again, you look at my position, I'm right in the back pocket of a Wooster. Um, just sitting here working this guy down. Um, I've got one unrepairable fire on him. There's a second. I know that this Jean Bart's going down. I'm just playing with my throttle right now, trying to keep the Udaloy from really being able to get good hits on me. I see the torpedo bombers come in, and I screw up, and I pop my repair rather than defensive fire. I'm still not used to the keybinds for this ship. This is the first time I've played it, and yes, I am aware I did potato and not used a premium repair consumable. Um, just totally spaced that it had been buffed, and so is what it is. It's I could have done maybe a little more if I would have held on to that repair. But speaking of the repair, going ahead and talk a little more about it. Anytime a destroyer is always painfully short on HP. It's just how it is, and the anything that directly buffs that is, you know, it's a big thing. Now, right there, it's kind of one of the situations I'm kind of experimenting with. On this boat, I don't feel like defensive fire really does anything meaningful. Um, even at this point, I've done 1.2k to basically planes over the course of this game. I basically, my two plane kills were basically slop that I was helping my team kill. And you're all right. No juice yet. Come here. You want to do the video? Come on. Can you say hi? Rah. But I'm seeing a lot of people, claiming the end of destroyers is nigh, and all of that garbage. I feel like I've done a pretty solid attempt helping my team out right here. I've got a Wooster that's got to really do a lot of farming. Because he's been smoked up, he's probably got a decent amount of plane kills, and that's also helping burn through some of the decks on these carriers, so they've got to load planes longer and longer. Now at this point, I'm gonna break off from my team. They're making what I would consider a bad play. The enemy team for some reason has a Yamato on the frickin' A line. and my team is all going up there to kill that guy, and they're leaving all the caps. Well, the issue is an Ognevoi is a very fast destroyer and can quickly cap everything um, before they can, you know, this guy could sneak those caps right back and undo a lot of our work. So I'm playing here trying to guard. Yeah. Is that an Ognevoi? Yeah. So go home, planes. Yeah. But getting back to kind of the defensive fire situation, I don't feel that most of the destroyers have the AA capacity to deal with that constant plane spam. And the defensive fire, it's you. I mean, even if it was a Ognevoi, something like that, uh, the CV just recalls the planes, and he's able to come back very shortly thereafter, where you've lost 200% of your DPM, and he's able to have at you. And the 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 school of thought that I'm having with it. Wow, look at that torpedo dispersion. Ugh. Um, the issue that I'm having with it is defensive fire even really worth it? Because the attack, it's no longer like an alpha strike. It occurs over, a period of, you know, 30, 40 seconds, a minute, maybe a little longer, maybe could be multiple strikes lasting a couple minutes. Um, the point is, you're not going to have your defensive fire for most of that. And, my thoughts on it are, you know, that's really painful. Um, when this situation occurs. But maybe something like, engine boost is better in the long run, because you might be able to evade more of the damage using your engine boost than you otherwise would with shooting down planes. Because again, I mean, Ognevoi has absolutely no chance at clearing out, any of the the rocket squads on even the Enterprise here. And here I catch the hack, and you know I get a fire, the auto DCP kicks in. Now I'm up to RNG trying to give me another fire again. And in the meantime, you know here comes here comes the rocket spam that I'm talking about. And I'm holding my defensive fire because I realize that this is going to be a sustained attack. I'm trying to use AP simply because, you know, I could have higher DPM. I'm popping my defensive fire now. AP is not working, switching back to HE. But I mean, you see all this time, my entire defensive fire has been cooking. I've still done, pitiful amount of damage to these planes. And this is the balancing situation that I'm talking about. 2K there, it's death by 1,000 cuts. I mean, you're no longer getting nuked by you know 3 torpedo bombers coming in and cross torping you to shit. Now it's this rocket spam that it just goes on and on and on. And this, I think, was a really good game to demonstrate, the difference in play style, because most of the game I played team support. The end of the game, I went out on my own, was defending B cap, and the CVs actually were able to strike me. And it really illuminates the AA balancing, or just a balancing issue in general. I'm not saying that destroyers need to, blast down planes like a cruiser, because obviously that wouldn't be very balanced. But it does highlight some of the issues with how's a destroyer supposed to handle one of these carriers. I mean, a hack has, a ton of HP that typically when you're gunning down a CV, you're relying on fire damage to do a lot of the heavy lifting in a destroyer. Your guns just don't have the DPM to handle that kind of workload within the time frame that we're talking to be successful. I mean, but if it was me just trying to gun down that hack, he would have been able to launch probably 3 separate squads and attack me, 9 separate times, and there wouldn't be anything that I could really do about it. It'd just keep, trying to shoot the guy, this lovely UI bug. And so I get where players are feeling like they're frustrated because, if you're trying to deal with a carrier just on your own in a destroyer, you're going to fall on your face. Now, take a look. It is still rewarding to play team support. You know, 2K base XP, third on the team in a tier 10 battle. I'm low tier destroyer. Uh, it's still, that play style is relevant. You don't see the kind of moves that I did later on in the game, going off on my own, blah blah blah. You don't see that in King of the Sea and other competitive modes with CV just because of that playstyle. Now, also take note here, the spotting damage. 2 CVs in the game, I still almost did 142,000 spotting damage. I did a lot of work to help the team. Also note that, the Wooster that I was smoking up, he's top on the XP. I basically gifted that guy, a lot of extra damage, plane kills, and everything that he most likely wouldn't have been able to get. He'd be able to get a portion of it. Um, but it's one of those things. Just my play helped him out, and right now, until we can sort out some of the balancing issues with the CVs, I think that you play fleet support. There's nothing wrong with it. You can still do a ton of damage. You just have to think about your positioning in a different way, and you'll be all right. So I hope you guys found this game educational. It's not, a barn burner or something like that, but it's in a DD that, number one, recently got buffed. The extra HP, of course, it's gonna be nice. Um, the um, totally lost my train of thought. The issues with the AA, obviously, I talked a lot about it. I do have concerns with module damage on top of that, where torpedo tubes, gun mounts on destroyers, they have very little HP, and as well, hopefully if that HP is exhausted on the mount, you're likely going to have that mount permanently destroyed. And it doesn't take very long for these CVs to strike you, you know, 3, 4, 5, 6 times. What? How many modules? And I'm talking about your main weapons. Your torpedoes, your guns. How many of those are even left surviving after that kind of onslaught? So right now I'm favoring, things like preventative maintenance over priority target on just about every one of my builds, um, because I see, increases in damage that you're receiving, especially to your modules. You're all right. Calm down. Um, so just gonna go on ahead, cut the video off right here. If you have any questions, leave them in the comments below. Hope you guys are having a good day, and I will talk to you later.